It's been about a week since Temtem was released in early access and it looks great. I'm just not gonna play it. Hey, this is GatorX and here I am again discussing Temtem for a bit. Now, I brought it up last year, just in a little thoughts video. Obviously back then it was only in alpha. Now it being in early access allows people to actually play it to a degree, and there's been a lot of developments. It seems like a fine game. I'm just not going to play it. I'm discussing this, of course, because it is a very obviously Pokemon-inspired game, as I've mentioned in my video that I made about last year, which I went back to watch, and I still maintain some of the similar thoughts in the sense that it looks fine, and that at least the developers seem relatively competent in terms of Kickstarter games go. There's been a lot going on in the last week, and honestly, it seems really cool. The downside is, it is an early access PC game that is an MMO and online only. That caused a lot of problems on launch day in the sense that people really could not even get into the game to actually play it. But now, a week since, things have calmed down and people can actually play it, and people have been playing it. A lot of people I follow on Twitter are playing it, on YouTube who I watch, they're playing it, and that seems neat. The thing is, though, it's not exactly the type of experience that I want to experience, you know. I could play it on PC, I could pay $35 for the early access, and I could get into it, but it's not done, and I'd rather just play something that's done. That all comes down to personal preference. And on top of that, I just spent my 40 bucks on Digimon Cyber Sleuth, which I've been enjoying. Temtem, though, as a game, as a franchise, like I said, looks fine. The downside is that it's inevitably being compared to Pokemon, and I guess rightly so to a degree, because it is very obviously inspired by Pokemon. There are a lot of different things that they've done, obviously. Back then, when we got the first trailer and before there was a whole lot of gameplay, it seemed almost one-to-one Pokemon, just basically a fan game, or not a ROM hack, but a fan game. And that's what I said back in my video last year, is that it's effectively a Pokemon fan game in everything but name, but there are a lot more differences nowadays, especially in terms of how things function. Breeding is different, battle is different in terms of stamina and how moves are, like the holds on the moves, and it seems pretty interesting functionally. Now, like I said, though, the downside is that it inevitably has to be compared to Pokemon. And going forward, I think it would be best if it wasn't. It came out at the right time, though. The Kickstarter launched at the perfect time, right when Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee was announced. And now the early access is out at the right time, just after Sword and Shield. And those games were good games. They're good Pokemon games, but they were very controversial for some longtime Pokemon fans. And it kind of it allowed the game to get some good traction, because some people were just tired of Pokemon, or tired of how recent Pokemon games had been. And of course, you know, you can feel however you want to feel, and so that gave them an outlet to play a similar game. There was a tweet that I had put out a while ago saying that, you know, if you had skipped the last few Pokemon games, maybe it's time you just skip Pokemon as a whole and play a different game. And that is one of my true opinions, right? I think that if you're not happy with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, if you're not happy with Sword and Shield, maybe you should quit Pokemon. Maybe you should just play some other game, because there are other games, believe it or not. But Temtem kind of allows that to be done, but still play a similar game. Now, obviously, monster catching RPGs have been around forever. There are a lot. Like I said, I've been playing Digimon this week, and the downside is those are always inevitably compared to Pokemon, but those are kind of wrongfully so, and those honestly hurt games in the long run. Back when Yokai Watch was first coming out, a lot of people were kind of treating it as the next Pokemon or the new Pokemon, right? And I feel like that hurt it going in, because it is very different to Pokemon, very functionally different. It is still, you know, a monster catching or collecting RPG, but it really shouldn't be compared to Pokemon. And basically everything else shouldn't. Digimon shouldn't be compared to Pokemon, because they're different. They're functionally different in terms of how they work. The designs obviously are different, and how the franchises are handled are different. Because when you compare things, it kind of creates a this or that mentality, right? It creates the mentality that you can like Pokemon or Digimon, that you can like Yokai Watch or Pokemon, that you can like Spectrobes or Pokemon. And I feel like that's kind of carried over to Temtem in the sense, like, you can like Temtem or Pokemon, or in the sense that, like, Temtem is the alternative to Pokemon, and that you should play it instead of. And for some people, I definitely think that might be the case. Maybe you should play Temtem instead of Pokemon. And again, like I said, that worked for the beginning, but going forward, they're really going to have to differentiate themselves. It's going to have to be clear that you can play both, especially in the sense that Temtem right now is only on PC, and one of the big reasons I'm not playing it is because it's not on Nintendo Switch yet. They've mentioned that they want to bring it to Nintendo Switch, and that was one of the stretch goals for the Kickstarter, and it's actually reached that. So hopefully development for Switch is going to be happening sometime soon for Temtem. Well, eventually when the full game comes out, probably next year. And so I'd just rather play a game on Switch. I could play it on PC, but the way that it is, I'd just rather play it on PC. And again, you know, it's a weird thing of, like, it is a Pokemon game, basically. It's a Pokemon-esque game, but it's also an MMO. So it has to be early access on PC in order for it to work and to gain traction. Games that are online, they work out well in early access online, on PC, on Steam, if they're good, obviously. I think if it's more story-based, if there's not really an online element, then yeah, it can come out in early access. It'd be great and cool, but it might be forgotten by the time the full game is released. Basically what happened with Hello Neighbor. So Temtem, if they really do focus on the online aspect, then, you know, things will work out. And I'll be waiting until then when it comes out. They are really going to have to overcome the fact that now Pokemon is on the Switch, right? And with Sword and Shield, there are going to be expansions to it, so that same game is going to build. And probably by the time that Temtem releases to Switch, Sword and Shield are going to be basically done, and then we're going to be moving on to Diamond and Pearl remakes, maybe. So that'll be something to compete with. But overall, I mean, Temtem seems nice. It seems like a fine game. And I feel like I haven't really explained my reasoning why I'm not going to play it yet. I'm watching people playing it, definitely, and it seems fine. I don't hate it vehemently like some people do. As far as the style of Temtem goes, I'm not a big fan of it. I think, and style all comes down to personal taste, right? That's all your, that's subjective, whether you like how it looks. And I think it looks fine, but now that we get to see what Temtem looks like, and again, inevitably comparing it to Pokemon, seeing what Sword and Shield looks like on Switch, I honestly really like Sword and Shield better in terms of how they look. Things seem more vibrant. Temtem kind of feels like it's got this weird desaturation, or it's almost as if there's a weird filter over everything. Again, you know, that's just their that's just their style, how they're going with things. And on top of that, like, I think the character design is fine. There is a thing of, like, I think the best looking Temtem is the platypus that was originally designed as a fake Pokemon. So, you know, that says a lot about design. But overall, those are some of my thoughts on Temtem. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Have you played it? Are you going to play it? Or are you going to wait until it comes to Switch like me? Personally, that's what I'm going to be doing. But I don't think that we should... I don't know. I don't know what I want to say in the sense that, like, if you want to play Temtem, play it. If people want to play it, play it. If you don't want to play it, don't. Like, that's a weird thing to say, but it's, I don't know, it's a simple thing. Going forward, I really am looking forward to just seeing how both Pokemon and Temtem develop. Unfortunately, I don't think Temtem is going to give Pokemon the competition that some people seem to think it needs in order to improve. Pokemon just needs to, like, buckle down and find itself in what it wants to be going forward now, being on a console. And with Sword and Shield, that's one step to working toward that, I guess. But again, you know, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We'll continue the discussion down there. If you enjoyed the content, leave a like, subscribe, all that cool stuff. You can enable notifications by clicking the bell icon next to the subscribe button. This will make sure you see each new video as it comes out, and will make you a member of the... I almost said Shingling Squad. I don't know if I've been saying that much in videos, but yeah, no, just... notifications. This has been GatorX. Have a nice day.